sweaty in here setting up, which I wasn't anticipating. But come on in, grab yourself something warm to drink or cold, depending on your preference. Not next week, the week after. It's the first weekend in November that's daylight savings, right?
I hope so.
2 more weeks before we fall back. Okay. This weekend is coming up as Halloween. Dave and I are going as, for those of you who know, Moira and Johnny Rose from Schitt's Creek.
Oh, she said it.
It looks so good. I'll put a picture on Facebook. Yeah, it looks so good. It's got the eyebrows and everything. It's really good. Well, I don't know. Sorry. It's a really funny show. Okay, but I digress. Another announcement. This is just heads up. We've already been getting questions about Christmas, the Christmas season, and Christmas Eve this year is on a Sunday, the 24th, which is Christmas. Yes. So we are having, instead of 2 services on Christmas Eve, we're just going to have 1 Sunday morning service on the 24th, no Christmas Eve service. So sorry for those of you who like the Christmas Eve service, but 2 services in one day is just a little exhausting, and we pretty much be doing the same service. So we're just going to have a Christmas Eve service in the morning. And we will take complaints in our complaint box after the service. All right, I think that's everything, and I'm going to turn it over to Christina. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow, my notes here. I don't know about you, but the word peace has been on my mind lately. And I have a friend who was in Israel 2 weeks ago when all that went down. She had lived there for a while and then she was back there. And so I was watching her posts and they were quiet for a few days, but then she was able to get out and walk around. And she's also a photographer, and she was taking pictures, and she would just post a picture and put the word peace. And I was so intrigued by it, and then a couple days later, she made a comment on her post, like, I'm getting a lot of questions as to why I'm posting peace when it's not a peaceful time. And she said this is to be a reminder of those who are here, because she was still there at the time, that there is peace. And I was reading a devotion earlier this week on peace, and it had a really good description of what, in my opinion, of what peace is. And it described, if you will, picture yourself in the middle of the sea, in a boat, in the middle of a massive storm. And there's wind raging, tearing at you 100 miles per hour from every direction. There's 50 feet high waves crashing in on you and just tearing at your ship, and you're being tossed and turned. But then 100 yards down in the water, you can't feel or sense any of that. And that's peace. It's not the absence of rage and chaos. It's not calm. It's this stillness in the midst of turmoil. This God-given, God's peace. It's this God-given stillness in the midst of turmoil. In John, open it with my face, John 14:27. It says, peace I leave with you. And this is pretty close before Jesus is leaving. In crucified, peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. This peace that he gives, like, it's not gone. It's not, I give it and then I take it away and I'm going to give it to you again, and you gotta ask for it and I'll give it to you. It's there, it's here. He gives it and he leaves it and it's with us. And so today and this week I just want to challenge you to find still, find peace, find his peace within you. And in doing that, sometimes just being sitting there and being still and finding the recognition of where God is, where is God's peace, that peace that passes all understanding. I love that word, that phrase, because it's when it doesn't make sense, when chaos is raging around you, when there's no reason that you should feel that peace, but it's there. Like, I know I've had key moments in my life where I feel that peace, and I'm like, I can't create that peace. I can't cultivate that peace, but I can recognize the God who gives that peace. So why don't you stand if you'd like to stand? We're going to worship. And just keep that in your mind as we go into this song. I'm going to pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful rainy day. Thank you for the peace that you give through your Spirit, that you have given it to us and you have not taken it away. God, I pray that in the midst of our world, in the midst of the chaos in our current lives, in countries around the world, in the midst of all that is going on, whether it's busyness or war, whether it's brokenness, God, that you would just help us to rest in your peace, to find peace, to be still in your presence, God. We love you and we thank you that you have given us your Spirit. In your name, amen.
Take a seat. This morning we're celebrating communion before our message. We're in a series, as most of you know, in the 10 utterances, the 10 words, what people call the 10 Commandments. And it's been good in the midst of this to pause and celebrate the Lord's Supper. It's actually very fitting and appropriate. Jesus, when he came, said some strong words, the Sermon on the Mount. He said, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law and the prophets. I didn't come to abolish the law, but I came to fulfill it, to fill it up." And he goes on to say, so if anybody relaxes any of these commandments and teaches people to relax them, they shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. And so what we've been doing is we've been looking at these 10 words, and I would say through the lens of Jesus and the lens of the whole Bible, we've been filling them out, filling them up. If anything, they haven't been relaxed, I would say. If you've been listening to them, a lot of times they start with, well, that sounds easy, to at the end going, wow, I don't measure up. I've got a long way to go. If anything, when you look at especially the 9 of the 10 words, it's hard not to walk away and feel inadequate. But as we know, that is also why Jesus came. In fact, that's primarily why Jesus came, because we cannot fulfill the law. Christina was talking about peace. And the reason Jesus said that he didn't come to abolish the law and we shouldn't relax it is that it's the way to peace. The disorder, the chaos that we see out there, and the chaos around ourselves is a failure to fulfill God's law. And so we're broken. But Jesus didn't just come to heal, to walk the earth, and to teach. He ultimately came to die. And so we're drawn back to the first word. This meal we're going to have right now as we celebrate is a reminder, a drawing back to that first word. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. The slavery to sin, the condemnation of sin, the death that Egypt represents, fulfilled in Jesus. Just think, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the kingdom of darkness and freed you. Jesus, through his death, has freed us from the shame of sin, from the bondage of sin. He's freed us to live in the paths of peace, to fulfill the rest of what he's called us to. But it always goes back to that first word. It always has to go back to grace. Otherwise, we would just be crushed under the weight of our own failure. So this morning, as we come, and we'll do it the way we've done it, I want to read a prayer, one of John Bailey's prayers of remembrance of what Jesus did for us. And then come on up. We've got the elements over there and over there. Get them. Take your seats, and we'll wait for one another. When everybody's got the elements, we will eat together. But let's remember that first word. Remember grace. Without that, the law is a curse. But under grace, we are forgiven, and by the Spirit, we are empowered to live out God's ways, the pathways of peace. So, just ask you to calm your heart and let this be your meditation this morning as we come and take the elements. O Lord, your eternal love for all of us was most perfectly shown in the life and the death of our Lord Jesus Christ. Enable us now to meditate so deeply on our Lord's passion that as we have fellowship with him in his sorrow, we may learn the secret of his strength and his peace. We remember Gethsemane. We remember how Judas betrayed him. We remember how Peter denied him. We remember how all of them deserted him and fled. We remember the scourging. We remember the crown of thorns. We remember how they spat on him. We remember how they struck him on the head with a staff. We remember his pierced hands and feet. We remember his agony on the cross. We remember his thirst. We remember how he cried, my God, Why have you forsaken me? Grant, O most gracious God, that as we kneel before you, that we may be embraced in that great company of those whom you have saved and brought to life through the cross of Christ. Let the redeeming power that has flowed from his sufferings through so many generations now flow into our souls. Here let us find forgiveness of sin. Here let us learn to share with Christ the burden of the suffering world. Amen. Come get the elements. None of us wants the standard lowered, but thank God for forgiveness. Thank God for forgiveness. On the night that Jesus was betrayed, he took the bread, he broke it, and he gave it to his disciples, and he said, "Take and eat. This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." Keep together. And after supper, he took the cup, and he said, "This is the new covenant in my blood, poured out for the forgiveness of sins. Drink this in remembrance of what Jesus suffered on our behalf." Now let's continue to worship together.
Glory. Jesus, we worship you this morning, and we receive your peace. Amen. You see it.
Morning, church family. That was just what a significant time of family communion together. I've been reading books on the early church and how they used to gather in homes and they always used to celebrate this Eucharist meal together. And they would sing afterward, they would worship, and then they'd hear some kind of exposition on the Word of God. But it was always centered around this meal, this remembering who Christ is and what He's done for us. And how when we engage in these moments as a family together, we're also linked to billions of other Christians who for the last 2,000 years have done the same thing. We're part of that same global family. We have the same Father who loves us. And it's an incredible place of belonging. If one is searching for belonging, that's the place to start. To be a part of the family of God. So beautiful. Yesterday, Becky and I and the girls, we got to experience 3 different eras of life, a baby shower, a wedding, and a funeral. We had to kind of divide and conquer as a family to be able to attend all 3. But it's always significant. There's always perspective when you get to see the beauty of a child, the joy of a wedding, and the significance of a life well lived. So all of that was in yesterday, so I'm just really tired today. There's a lot of emotions. Today, we get to look at word 9. And before we get to 9, we're going to do a really quick recap. And I love that Dave has already, he just gave you a freebie for number 1. So I just want to ask us, what is it that we have kind of taken away from each of these words so far? What have each of these ones distilled down to? So the first one, I am the Lord your God. And again, Dave just said it, so you get a freebie here. What is, when the first word, I am the Lord your God, was spoken, what is the main meaning we gather from this? Grace. God's salvation because of His grace. God initiating salvation to us because He is a gracious God. Then the second one, you shall have no other gods before me. What does that distill down to? Anyone remember? Do we need a recap? I'm not going to help you on this one. No more freebies. No cheating on the test. What does that distill down to? That's not rocket science, people. Yeah, Pat.
No idols?
Yes, yeah. No idolatry. We keep God first and center. The third one, bearing the name of the Lord your God in vain. What did this mean? Representing. Yes, embodying the character of God, representing Him well for the nations. This wasn't about cussing. This was about embodying the name. Yeah, Sabbath. Rest. And
Stop.
stop. Yes, stop what you are doing. Recognize. Go back to word 1. We live in grace. We live under grace. Good. Word 5. What did this mean? To honor your father and your mother. We talked about this didn't mean obey them in everything. What did this mean?
Respecting people.
Respect. What else?
Isn't that kind of like representing, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I know what you're saying. Yes, it was about giving the relationship weight. We embody to our parents and to our kids what God does for us. We represent God to each other in that. No murder. But remember, it was deeper. It was about giving life. It was about not stealing life from people, but being a giver of life. The way God gives life to us. Word 7. Abby said it last time.
sacred.
Sacred. Yes, keep these relationships sacred, holy, that you may flourish. Yeah, word 8.
Generosity.
Absolutely. Lives fueled by a generous spirit. This whole idea of owning and owing to each other. Today, no false witness. Good job. I'd give you like 80% on the test. That's okay. Here, make a big raise right now. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. This is the idea that we can be just with our words. In the book of Exodus, God is intentionally setting up a community of people where when they interact with each other, they are able to give each other dignity. They are able to live in such a way that they won't take advantage of the people they have in their community. So different than the separating or the surrounding nations, where it is all about taking advantage of so that oneself and one's own family can advance and rise to the top. Now, when I just turned 18 years old, and when you turn 18 as a young male, this is when you start applying for different colleges and such, so you end up filling out a lot of forms. You've got guys from the Army and the Marines trying to enlist you, and they're calling you. And I remember during this week, I probably was called maybe 4 or 5 different times, and it was like, is young Mr. Cox there? I was like, yeah, Mr. Cox, you know, and recently 18, and when you're filling out these forms, it's all Mr. Cox, Mr. Cox. How do you prefer to be called? Yeah, I guess I'm a Mr. at this point. So it was late at night, and we get another phone call. Bring Mr. Cox there. Yeah, I'm Mr. Cox. And then the guy starts talking to me, and he starts sharing all this privileged information that was meant for my dad, who was the real Mr. Cox. And I found myself in this tricky situation, and we had gotten so far down the road. He's telling me about this kid from a group home he wants to bring to church, but this kid has all these problems, and he was just like spilling all the beans, and we're probably 15 minutes into this conversation. And I'm thinking in my head, do I tell him, you got the wrong guy, I think you were my father. And I thought, no, I'm just gonna fake it. I'm gonna fake it. And we get to the very end, and he got to the point where he was like, okay, will you pick him up on Wednesday for the youth group meeting? Now you know all this stuff. I was like, okay. And I took down his number, and I hung up the phone. And then I felt like, oh no. So I went actually downstairs to my dad, and I told my Dad, it started off innocently, but I kind of pretended to be you, and now I know a whole bunch of things about this kid that I shouldn't know, and you've got to pick him up on Wednesday for youth group. And he said, I want you to call him back right now and tell him you lied. Okay, so I did it. I called the guy back. One of the most awkward conversations of my life. It really was. It's still to this day, when I explained to him, yeah, I'm the young Mr. Cox. He was my father. But I had gone too far. I was not embodying truth. I was not living in truth. We actually live in an age where truth is considered relative now. How I perceive reality is my truth. If you don't see it my way, then that's just your truth. Just don't let your truth infringe upon my truth. And things that were, let's say, very black and white in the past have now become very gray. And there's a lot of gray in the world. But is everything gray? Is everything subjective? We find ourselves asking, what is concrete? What is not shifting sand in this culture? Is truth black and white? Can truth be black and white? So we're really good at exaggerating and stretching the truth. This truck cost me an arm and a leg. Actually, no, I've still got all my appendages. All right. I'm past my curfew. My dad is going to kill me. Probably not, but you're going to be grounded. Well, that's another one right there. That's hyperbole. We're comfortable with this. I've seen this movie 1,000 times. Or you haven't lived until you've eaten this tofu burger. Like, I'm pretty sure I have them. And I'm going to pass. Thank you. So, this idea of like exaggeration or even propaganda, which is helping other people believe a lie to pursue our own ends. Someone once said, propaganda is a truly terrible weapon in the hands of an expert. Adolf Hitler said that in Mein Kampf in 1924. And he was able to convince most of an entire nation that it would be better for humanity that a few numbers of like people groups were exterminated. And we're not as bad as Hitler, right? We don't use our convictions to demean people, right? Are we truthful? I want to show you a section of a clip that's from a much longer clip right here about how social media does this. And the video goes on with probably 10 more examples of that. But we are so adept at lying. This is a reflection of humanity, to put an image out there of ourselves as better than we actually are. That's our glittering image, to put an image out there that says we're actually better than the people around us. We're always comparing ourselves to others, and subconsciously, whether we're aware of it or not, we want ourselves to come out on top. At least I'm better than that person, we will say. At least I have a moral compass. I would never stoop so low as to do that. My political perspectives are accurate. How come others can't see that? Yeah, this is our framework as we look at this passage. So again, God has set up a nation, a people group, to be an example, a light to the surrounding nations, a people to be holy, which means other and set apart. And he says to them, this ninth word, do not bear false witness against your neighbor. He said earlier in Exodus, I want you to be a kingdom of priests. And what that means is you are to represent God to the world. That we would mirror the image of God and not the image of humanity that we see around us. That we would speak what is just and true and right about our neighbors and ourselves. Do not speak untrue things about your neighbor. And we ask the question, who's my neighbor? Jesus was asked this, and he told the parable of the Good Samaritan in Luke 10. And Jesus made it clear that our neighbor is anyone around us, regardless of their ethnic, religious, socioeconomic status. In fact, the people who are of another religion, another belief, or those with a history of animosity towards us, Jesus tells story after story, give those people special attention. The Jewish rabbis say the gist of this passage in Exodus is, do not lie inside of the courtroom and do not lie outside of it. They use this word witness. What is a witness? A witness is someone who claims to have seen or heard. They come to know a matter. Witnesses were very necessary for the Israelite judicial system, as witnesses are very important in ours today. Their words lead to either vindication or condemnation for someone, especially in capital punishment crimes. If life and death stands in the balance, Proverbs says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. So it's quite literally in the sense. So false witnesses were a threat, not only to individual lives, but a threat to the community at large. A false witness can actually pervert justice. And if we were constructing a society from scratch, how would we prevent against false witnesses rising up and perverting justice and destroying communities? You always make sure there's more than one testimony. That's why there needed to be at least two witnesses for an accusation. But what if they're both wrong? What if they're both accusing wrongfully? In Exodus 23, God says, "You shall not spread a false report. You shall not join hands with a wicked man to be a malicious witness. You shall not fall in with the many to do evil, nor shall you bear witness in a lawsuit, siding with the many so as to pervert justice. Don't go along with the crowd. Speak what is true." Paul said in Ephesians 4, "Each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor." Now, why would someone lie? What are the reasons we lie about somebody else? Well, the first one, this is what I did in my phone call, was to protect myself. We might turn the truth on someone else in order to keep from getting caught. Maybe we're embarrassed by something we've said or done, and we're placing the blame on somebody else. Or we tend to people please. We protect our friendship with someone at the expense of someone else. Another reason we lie is to gain an advantage. Connor, you were talking earlier this week about resumes. Hey, fake it till you make it. How many of you have heard that one? We do this in our careers. We do this in sports. I once heard a pastor share with a congregation, this was decades ago, an idea that I came up with that he took the credit for. Soccer players do this all the time to get an advantage. They always flop on the ground and then they get up, "Oh, actually, I'm okay. I'll just fake that you hurt me." We make ourselves look just a little bit better than others. And then maybe we'll get picked, we'll get recognition, we'll get an advance. If we stretch the truth just a little bit, it'll make me look good. Another way we lie is to impress others in conversations with our peers. It's impressive to have knowledge about someone else. This is why gossip tastes so good. We can slight their reputation by speaking in exaggeration. False witnesses often come out of gossip, which comes out of a desire to look knowledgeable. I'm in the know, therefore, aren't I cool? Don't you think I'm cool? Another way we lie is to harm others. And this is maliciously wanting reputations to be tarnished because they've hurt us. This person hurt me, so I'm going to go after them by making something up or exaggerating, getting others mad at them with me, because misery loves company. This actually happens in divorces a lot. The kids can potentially just hear one side about a parent, whereas relationships and marriages and divorces are very complicated things. Now, all of these to say, I want to clarify something. We never, ever stop speaking truth. We're told to stop speaking lies about someone. With our words, we reflect the glory of God, and we must be just in what we say. We will have to give an account for every careless word we speak about others. Jesus said that. And before we confront the truth about how we speak about others, we first have to confront it in ourselves. And then this is where Jesus kind of enlivens this law, and he completes it. He says in Matthew 15, Jesus called the crowd to him and said, "Listen and understand. What goes into your mouth, what you're eating, doesn't defile you. But what comes out of the mouth, that's what defiles them." Peter said, "Explain this to us." "You still lack understanding," Jesus asked him. "Don't you see, whatever goes into the mouth goes into the stomach and then expelled out the body. But the things that come out of a person's mouth come from the heart. What's in the heart will defile them. For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, and slander. These are what defile a person." David prayed in Psalm 51, God, surely you desire truth in the inmost place. Is what I think about others true? Is what I think about myself true? Or is our heart corrupted? Is there Deceit in me? Do I lie to protect myself or to get ahead? And this law, like Dave shared, I usually call David from the Old Testament Dave. I call him David. Yeah, they're one of the same. The law set the bar low. Don't say something false about anyone else. But Jesus set the bar so high. He's saying, live truthfully, embody truth, speak truthfully, stand up for the marginalized, those being lied about. Slandering others is in the heart. And there are some common pitfalls for us. And the first one is we often demonize the other side, whoever the other side is, with a caricature. Don't we do this in politics all the time? You know, whether you're red or blue, or in this situation with Gaza, with Israel, we'll tend to side with one 100% and demonize the other side with a caricature, when it's actually probably a little bit more complicated than that, because there's innocent people on both sides. And I know people on both sides of the aisle in our church who love Jesus and vote differently because they feel whatever particular issue is at hand could be best solved by some particular candidate. And if these two people had a conversation on Facebook, they'd probably call names and it would get really heated. But if they had a conversation in person, they would probably get along and find out that they could maybe be friends. See, we tend to think generically about people who think differently than us. And people who have, a different political affiliation or live in a different tax bracket. We lump them mentally into a category and put these people into a box. And we must stop doing that. Jesus was so effective because he got to know individuals. He got to know their story. I was chatting with a gentleman yesterday who were talking about Muslims. And he was talking about them very generically, as their end-all goal was to eradicate all Christians and so fulfill. And the way he was talking, I didn't correct him, but I've been friends with a Muslim man for about 5 years now. And I talk with him probably every 3 days on Messenger. And the way we've interacted, like I trust this man implicitly, and he trusts me. And we've done some blade business together. Nothing under that. I'm talking knives here. Okay. And yet, when I know an individual and I know their heart, like yesterday, he sent me, he just had his 16th wedding anniversary, and he sent me a picture of he and his wife and their birthday cake and such like that. Very special moment. I know this individual. And when I generalize or I demonize him with a caricature, that's actually a very dangerous thing to do. And Jesus shows us that when we get to know individuals, when we get to know their story, it looks a little different. Another thing that we do, another common pitfall, is crowd thinking. Well, the majority will believe this one way about an issue or a person, so I guess that must be true. We just regurgitate the group thought. And we must go to the Word of God and the words of Jesus first. He determines how we live and what we think. He is the standard for Christian life. Just because it's popular in culture today doesn't mean it's right. Another thing we do, I'm very guilty of this one, is taking on grudges based on somebody else's report. We must be so careful with gossip, because reports can damage other people's reputations. Sometimes these reports are true, and we must wade through every individual situation with a particular wisdom and patience and grace. Always asking the question, Jesus, how can I best represent you in this? It's really dangerous to take on somebody else's grudge. And I think I would close with this. When we look at Jesus and the way Jesus interacts with people. Jesus loves people Jesus loved all the people that we would avoid today. He always went to parties with prostitutes, with contagious, diseased people who were avoided, with financial extortionists, people who robbed others, with government oppressors, with politicians. He refused to speak falsely about them or to speak out against them. In fact, he loved them. And in some cases, he did them favors, like healing their servants. He helped them see themselves, and more so, he helped them see him. And ultimately, that's our calling. To mirror Jesus. To mirror the God who created us, mankind, in his image, and gave us a dignity. And we are to speak truthfully. We are to be just with our words, above reproach in what we say. This is the Jesus way. I didn't mean for that to run. I would love for us to spend a little bit of time in reflection. I would like us to reflect on these verses from Psalm 51. It's really easy for us to point fingers at others, when oftentimes we can't change the behaviors of other people. All we can change is what's inside. And in this psalm is, God, surely you desire truth in here. You desire truth in the inmost place, where I have responsibility. The change that I can affect is how I represent you. So let's prayerfully look at these words as a way of response. Have mercy on me, O God, because of your unfailing love. Because of your great compassion, blot out the stain of my sins. Wash me clean from guilt. Purify me from sin, for I recognize my rebellion. It haunts me day and night. Against you and you alone have I sinned. I have done what is evil in your sight. You will be proved right in what you say, and your judgment against me is just. For I was born a sinner. Yes, from the moment my mother conceived me. Surely you desire truth in the inner being. Make me know wisdom inwardly. That is our prayer, Father. That we would be a people who embody truth the way you intended. That we would represent you well. Forgive us for the ways that we try to get ahead and look good in the eyes of man. To be sought out because we are in the know. Because our perspective we feel is right. Give us the grace to see people the way you see them. Give us the grace to love the way you loved. Let's stand and let's respond to this.
If you hate me, then I will not. Have a great week.